The docking bay of Meridian Outpost smelled like cold metal, recycled air, and the faint spice of alien fuel. It was a place built for peace, at least on paper. Its walls were marked with thousands of tiny symbols from visiting worlds, like a living museum of treaties and trade routes. In the center of the bay stood a wide open floor of polished alloy, shaped like a circle, with lines and patterns etched into it. It was used for ceremonies, announcements, and sometimes, when the station's rules bent under cultural pressure, for challenges. Today, the circle belonged to a visitor who carried herself like the laws of gravity were optional. Vera of the Cathari stepped forward with a confident stride, her boots making clean, sharp sounds against the floor. She was tall compared to many species present, but not the tallest. What made her stand out was the way she moved, steady, controlled, and ready. She wore a sleeveless combat sash across her chest, decorated with thin metal plates that caught the light. Her arms were marked with clan ink, precise lines that told a story to those who could read them. A few Cathari elders stood behind her, their faces hard as carved stone. Around them gathered a loose crowd. Merchants, pilots, station security, diplomats, and curious travelers who had heard rumors that something dramatic was about to happen. Vera lifted her chin, scanning the area as if she owned it. The Cathari were famous across the local sector. Some called them honor-bound, others called them stubborn. A few quietly called them dangerous. Their culture was built around contests. Strength contests, endurance contests, duels with strict rules, and public displays meant to prove courage. They respected order, but their idea of order was simple. Power should be shown, tested, and recognized. To Vera, respect was not given. It was taken, then offered back if the other side earned it. Today, the other side was humanity. At the far end of the docking bay, the human delegation entered through a pressurized corridor, moving with calm steps and quiet voices. There were only 3 of them, which was already strange. Many species arrived with guards and banners. Humans arrived with plain jackets, a single case of equipment, and expressions that looked more like tired patience than pride. The lead human was Commander Elias Mar, a man with short dark hair and eyes that seemed to measure a room without making it obvious. He carried no visible weapons. He wore a small device on his collar, an interpreter unit, though the outpost provided translation. Beside him walked Dr. Lion Cho, a diplomat and cultural specialist, her posture relaxed but alert. The third was a younger officer, Lieutenant Rafi Qureshi, holding a data tablet and glancing at the etched circle as if it might come with footnotes. They stopped a respectful distance from the Cathari group. Station security watched from the edges, helmets on, hands close to their non-lethal stun tools. The security chief, a broad-shouldered Lauren with bright yellow eyes, looked like he wished he were anywhere else. Vera's mouth curved in a small smile that was not friendly. "So," she said, her voice carrying through the interpreter with a clear, steady tone. "The humans have arrived." The crowd shifted. A few whispered. Cameras, both legal and not, angled for a better view. Commander Mar gave a small nod. "We are here. We received the station's notice about a cultural dispute request." Vera stepped closer to the circle. "A request," she repeated, as if the word tasted strange. "You speak like this is paperwork. I speak like this is truth, Doctor." Cho's eyes flicked to the etched lines in the floor. "Meridian Outpost allows formal challenges only under strict conditions," she said. "If you are requesting a demonstration—" "I am not requesting," Vera interrupted, her voice still calm but sharpened at the edges. "I am declaring." One of the Cathari elders made a quiet sound of approval. Their people enjoyed certainty. Vera raised one hand, palm open, a gesture that meant attention. The crowd quieted, pulled in by the weight of her confidence. "The Cathari have heard the stories," she said. "We have heard that humans rose quickly. We have heard that humans bend rules and survive what should kill them. We have heard that humans claim honor while hiding behind talk." Lieutenant Qureshi blinked, then lowered his eyes to his tablet as if confirming the translation. His shoulders tightened slightly. Vera continued. "We have also heard that humans are soft, that your bodies are fragile, that your world made you weak. That your strength is only in machines you build to replace what you lack." A murmur rolled through the crowd. Some species seemed amused. Others seemed uncomfortable. The station's rules favored diplomacy, not humiliation. Commander Mar's expression did not change much. He simply listened, Vera's gaze locked onto him. I am Vera of Clan Soren, Blade Sister of the Sixth Ring, victor of the Red Step Trials. I stand here to test humanity's claim. Dr. Cho kept her voice even. Test in what way? Vera stepped into the etched circle. The lights above reflected off the metal lines at her feet, making them look like a net. Combat, Vera said simply. The word landed like a heavy object. Even the interpreter's soft tone could not make it gentle. Station security shifted. The chief took a step forward and raised a hand, signaling caution. Dr. Cho glanced at Mar, but Mar gave no sign of alarm. He took a slow breath, then spoke. This is a diplomatic station, Mar said. We are here to establish a trade route and scientific exchange. We have no interest in? Of course you do, Vera said. You just fear losing. The crowd stirred again, hungry for conflict. A few outsiders leaned in, hoping to see humans embarrassed. A few perhaps hoped to see a surprise. Mar's gaze remained steady. We don't fear losing, he said. We fear unnecessary harm. Vera tilted her head. Harm, she repeated. You think I came to kill? How small your imagination is. One of the elders spoke briefly in the Cathari tongue. The interpreter translated it after a half-second delay. She offers a sanctioned duel. First blood, not death. A test of skill and nerve. This is honor. Dr. Cho raised both hands slightly, palms out, a universal sign of calm. We understand your tradition, she said, but humans do not settle disputes through blood. Vera's smile widened. Then your disputes never end. Lieutenant Qureshi looked up. That's not true, he said, then seemed to remember his place and fell quiet, but the words hung in the air. Vera glanced toward him, assessing. You have spirit, she said. Good. Perhaps there is something to test after all. Mar turned his head slightly to address Qureshi without taking his eyes off Vera. Easy, he murmured. Vera's voice softened, just a little, in a way that could have been respect or could have been a predator relaxing before a pounce. I offer a clean contest. I offer a chance for your people to stand in front of the galaxy and prove what you whisper about yourselves. Mar did not answer immediately. He studied the Cathari circle. He noted the elders, the watchers, the station security. He noted the cameras. He understood something simple and unpleasant. This was already a story, and stories spread faster than ships. If humans refused, some would call them wise. Many would call them cowards. And among warrior cultures, that label could become a reason for future aggression. Dr. Cho's voice lowered. This is a trap, she whispered, just loud enough for Mar to hear. Mar nodded slightly, not disagreeing. Vera watched them exchange the quiet words and laughed, a clear sound that echoed off the walls. You confer like merchants, she said, but you arrived on war-capable ships. You are not merchants, you are a rising force. Do not pretend otherwise. Mar finally spoke, his tone calm, not defensive. Vera of Clan Soren, he said, using her full title with careful respect. Our ships are built for survival. The space between stars is not kind. We build what we must. And what you must, Vera said, is prove you deserve a seat at the table. Dr. Cho took a small step forward. Meridian Outpost is a table, she said, and the rules here are agreed upon by all. You can't force an event. Vera spread her hands. I am not forcing, she said. I am offering. If humans refuse, I will accept it. I will also speak of it. I will tell my people that humans hide behind rules and that their pride is a mask. The elder behind her gave a small, approving nod again. To the Cathari, a challenge refused was still a result. Mar was silent for a long moment. He turned his eyes not to Vera now, but to the crowd. He saw faces from dozens of worlds. Some were eager, some were cautious, some were recording. And he understood the deeper problem. This was not only about Vera. This was about how humans would be framed, labeled, and remembered. Finally, he spoke, careful and clear. We will not fight you, he said. A few in the crowd made small sounds, some satisfied, some disappointed, some mocking. Vera's smile became sharp. Then it is as I thought. Mar raised a hand slightly, not to stop her, but to add words. We will not fight you, he repeated, because we have learned that the strongest person in a room is not always the one who hits first. We are willing to demonstrate something else. Vera's eyes narrowed. Words, she said, of course. Not words, Mar replied. A test. That made the crowd quiet again. Even Vera paused. Dr. Cho's gaze flicked to Mar, surprised. Lieutenant Qureshi looked confused but interested. A test of what? Vera asked, suspicious now, as if she could smell a trick. Mar took a step forward, stopping at the edge of the circle without entering it. His posture was open. He did not square his shoulders like a fighter. He stood like a person preparing to explain something important. A test of discipline, he said. A test of endurance, a test of problem-solving under pressure, a test of how a person behaves when pride is challenged. Vera's mouth tightened. That is not combat. It's a kind of combat, Mar said, just not the kind you expect. The elder behind her made a brief sound, and the interpreter translated. Combat is blood, combat is risk, combat is truth, Mar nodded. Then let there be risk, he said, but not injury, not blood. Vera stepped closer to the edge of the circle, almost nose to nose with the humans now, though still separated by a few feet. You want a child's game, she said. Lieutenant Qureshi couldn't help himself. You keep calling us weak, he said. But you haven't even tried to understand what we are. The words were simple, but they landed. A few heads in the crowd turned toward him. Vera's eyes flicked to Qureshi again. Understanding is earned, she said. And so is respect, Qureshi replied, then pressed his lips together, realizing he had spoken again. He looked to Mar, expecting a correction. Mar didn't scold him, he simply continued calmly. We are here to build relations, Mar said. If you want a test, we will agree to a formal demonstration as allowed by the station. We will submit the terms to security, but it will not be a blood duel. Vera's jaw flexed. The crowd watched her carefully now. This was the moment where her pride would either double down or shift into curiosity. What would you call this demonstration? She asked. Mar's eyes moved to the circle's etched lines. A trial, he said. A trial of capability. You can choose to take part or you can refuse. Either way, you will have your answer. Vera stared at him, trying to read fear on his face and finding none, not bravado either, just a steady kind of calm, like a deep river that didn't need to shout to prove it was strong. She glanced at Dr. Cho. And you, she said. Would you face me in this trial? Dr. Cho's voice was gentle but firm. If it serves peace, yes, she said, but I will not harm you. Vera looked back at Mar. You speak like you are above violence, she said, like you are pure. Mar's expression tightened slightly for the first time. We're not pure, he said. We know what violence is, we just don't worship it. That line created a ripple in the crowd. Some species leaned closer. Others exchanged glances. The Cathari elders did not look pleased. Vera's eyes narrowed, but there was something else there now too, interest. The kind of interest a person feels when a door opens to a room they didn't know existed. You refuse my blade, she said slowly. But you offer a trial. Fine, I accept your trial, human. Mar nodded once. Then we will submit the terms to station security, and we will do it properly. Vera stepped back into the circle and lifted her voice so everyone could hear. Let all here witness, she declared. The humans refuse the blood duel. They offer a different contest. When it is done, the galaxy will know what they truly are. Mar didn't flinch at the pressure of that statement. He only turned slightly toward the security chief. We'll need a neutral space, he said. Controlled environment. Station-approved parameters. The security chief exhaled slowly, like someone trying not to develop a headache. You will file the request, he said. No weapons, no injuries. If either side breaks the rules, this ends. Understood. Vera's smile returned, but it was less mocking now. Understood. As the crowd slowly began to disperse, buzz growing in the air like electricity, Vera remained in the circle, watching the humans as they spoke quietly among themselves. She expected nerves now. She expected fear to seep out when they thought no one noticed. Instead, she saw planning. Dr. Cho's hands moved as she spoke, describing steps, options, likely reactions. Lieutenant Qureshi scrolled through data, already drafting station forms, his brows drawn in focus. Mar listened, nodded, then glanced back at Vera, not with hatred, not with fear, but with something close to respect, as if he had accepted that she was a challenge worth meeting. Vera felt an unfamiliar sensation, small but sharp, doubt, not doubt in herself. Doubt in her assumptions. Humans did not posture like the weak, but they also did not posture like the strong she knew. They were something else. She placed a hand lightly on the metal plate across her chest, where her clan symbol was etched. She had come to Meridian Outpost expecting to prove a point quickly, to make humans bow or retreat. She had not expected them to answer with calm eyes and a different kind of blade, one made of restraint and strategy. As the human delegation walked away toward the administrative offices, Vera stayed behind, staring at the empty circle as if it might explain them. Behind her, one of the Cathari elders spoke quietly. They refused combat, he said. They will shame themselves. Vera didn't answer right away. Her gaze followed the humans until they disappeared into the corridor. Then she said, almost to herself, "Or they will shame us." The elder made a displeased sound, but Vera didn't look back. She had already decided something important. If humans wanted a trial, she would give them one. And if they truly believed strength could exist without blood, she would find out how. Because a species that could stay calm under open insult and still offer a contest with rules and respect was either foolish or terrifying in a way the galaxy had not yet learned to name. The request for a formal trial moved through Meridian Outpost faster than anyone expected. By the next cycle, station officials had cleared a controlled testing sector usually reserved for emergency drills and cross-species training. The space was large, quiet, and carefully monitored. Transparent walls showed a faint view of the stars beyond, reminding everyone that this place existed far from any homeworld. Vera arrived early. She stood near the center of the testing sector, arms folded, her posture relaxed but alert. She wore lighter gear this time, no ceremonial plates, only flexible armor designed for movement. To her, this was already a contest, even if the humans refused to call it combat. Her people believed that intent mattered more than labels. Around the perimeter, station staff adjusted equipment and confirmed safety limits. Several neutral observers had been approved by the council. News of the human trial had spread quickly. Representatives from many species watched from behind the transparent barrier, curious to see how this strange refusal of violence would end. Vera felt their eyes on her and welcomed it. Then the humans entered. Commander Mar walked in first, wearing a plain utility uniform. Dr. Cho followed, carrying a slim case. Lieutenant Qureshi came last, holding a tablet and quietly reviewing data. None of them wore armor. None of them carried weapons. That alone unsettled Vera more than she liked. She had faced opponents who claimed peace before. They usually did so while hiding sharp things. Humans did not hide anything. They simply arrived as they were. "You are unprotected," Vera said as they approached. It was not an insult this time. It was an observation. Mar nodded. "We don't expect this to become dangerous." Vera studied his face, searching for uncertainty. "Expectation does not change reality." "No," Mar agreed. "Preparation does." Dr. Cho set the case down and opened it. Inside were several small devices, simple in shape, made of neutral station materials. Vera gestured at them. "These are your weapons?" Dr. Cho smiled faintly. "Tools." Station security announced that the trial would begin once terms were read aloud and acknowledged. The rules were simple. No direct physical harm, no restraints, no environmental hazards beyond controlled difficulty and full transparency. Any participant could withdraw at any time. Vera listened closely. She found the rules strange, almost fragile. In Cathari trials, pain was a teacher. Here, pain was avoided. When the rules were accepted, the security chief turned to Mar. "State the nature of the trial." Mar took a step forward. "The trial will have 3 phases," he said. "Each phase tests a different capability. None rely on physical dominance." Vera crossed her arms again. "And you think this proves strength?" "I think it proves something more useful," Mar replied. The first phase began without ceremony. The floor shifted slightly, forming a wide path with raised sections, moving platforms and barriers that slowly changed position. Lights dimmed and symbols appeared along the walls, some familiar, some alien, some abstract. Dr. Cho spoke calmly. "This phase tests navigation under uncertainty. The goal is simple: reach the far marker." Vera looked down the path and let out a small laugh. "This is a child's test." She stepped forward confidently, moving fast. Her body was strong, balanced, trained for uneven terrain. She leapt over moving gaps, adjusted to shifting platforms, and ignored misleading symbols. Her focus was sharp. She reached the halfway point quickly. Behind her, the humans did not rush. Mar and Qureshi paused at the starting point. Qureshi pointed at the symbols. "Pattern repeats every 7, he murmured. Dr. Cho nodded. "But the timing changes." They moved slowly, carefully, sometimes stopping completely. Vera glanced back once and felt a brief flash of satisfaction. Humans were cautious, too cautious. Then the path changed. A section Vera stepped on shifted unexpectedly. She recovered easily, but the pause broke her rhythm. Another platform tilted. She adjusted again. It was still manageable, but annoying. Meanwhile, the humans reached the first third of the path without issue. They had timed their movements, stepping only when patterns aligned. They spoke quietly, sharing observations. Vera reached the final stretch first, breathing steady, muscles warm. She placed one foot forward and the platform locked. It didn't move, it didn't respond. She frowned and stepped back. Nothing changed. Dr. Cho's voice echoed gently across the space. Some paths respond to force, others respond to patience. Vera growled under her breath and waited. Seconds passed. Then the platform shifted again, allowing her to move forward. She finished first, standing at the far marker with a proud stance. Moments later, the humans arrived together. The crowd murmured. Vera had won the race, but not by much, and she disliked how calm the humans looked. First phase complete, the security chief announced. Vera turned to Mar. Speed matters, she said. I was faster. You were, Mar agreed. You also triggered more resistance. She didn't like that answer. The second phase began with a quiet hum. The environment changed into a simulated resource zone. Floating displays showed energy levels, supply nodes, and abstract threats that shifted over time. Dr. Cho explained, "This phase tests decision-making under pressure. Resources are limited. The goal is to maintain system stability for as long as possible." Vera looked at the displays. "This is not real," she said. "There is no enemy." "There is scarcity," Cho replied. "That's real enough." The simulation began. Almost immediately, multiple alerts appeared. Energy drains, unstable nodes, spreading failures. Vera reacted the way she always had. She focused on the largest threat and acted decisively. She rerouted power, stabilized one node, then moved to the next. It worked for a while, but new problems appeared faster than she could address them. Every solution created a smaller problem somewhere else. Her frustration grew. She worked harder, faster, trying to dominate the system. Across the simulation space, the humans did something different. They paused. Qureshi watched the patterns. Mar adjusted a long-term setting. Cho rerouted minor resources not to stop failures, but to slow them evenly. They allowed small problems to exist so that larger collapses would not happen. Vera noticed the difference too late. Her system entered a cascade failure. Alerts filled the air. The simulation ended for her section. She stepped back, breathing harder now, not from physical strain, but from something worse. Confusion. The human's system continued. Slowly, steadily, it ran longer than any previous participant, according to the observers' quiet whispers. When it finally ended, it did so gently, with resources evenly depleted. The crowd was no longer murmuring with amusement. They were watching closely now. Vera turned to Mar. "You let it fail," she said. "Yes," Mar replied. "On our terms." The third phase was the strangest. There were no platforms, no displays, only a simple room with seats arranged in a loose circle. Vera frowned. "This is a trick," Dr. Cho shook her head. "This phase tests communication." Vera laughed sharply. "You insult me." "No," Cho said. "We challenge you." The rules were simple. Each participant would be given incomplete information. The only way to succeed was to share, listen, and adjust based on others' input. Vera sat stiffly. She was not used to circles. In her culture, leaders stood. The exercise began. Data fragments appeared privately on each participant's panel. Vera received a set of instructions that seemed clear. She followed them confidently, but the system did not respond. She repeated the steps. Nothing. She looked up and saw the humans talking, not loudly, not over each other, but carefully. They asked questions. They admitted uncertainty. They changed their approach based on new input. Vera hesitated. Asking for help felt wrong. Waiting felt weak. Minutes passed. The system remained locked. Finally, against instinct, Vera spoke. "What do you see?" Mar looked at her, surprised, but not mocking. He explained his fragment. Qureshi added context. Cho adjusted the plan. Vera shared her information. The missing piece clicked into place. The system unlocked. The trial ended. Silence filled the testing sector. The security chief cleared his throat. "Trial complete." Vera stood slowly. She felt exposed, not physically, but internally. She had not been defeated, but she had not dominated either. The humans had never tried to overpower her. They had simply endured, adapted, included her when it mattered. She looked at Mar. "You planned this." "Yes," he said honestly, "not to embarrass you, to show you how we survive." Vera's voice was quiet. "You would not last in a Cathari war." Mar met her gaze. "You might be right," he said, "but wars are not the only measure of survival." The observers began to speak among themselves. Some looked thoughtful, some unsettled, a few impressed. Vera turned away, staring at the transparent wall and the distant stars. For the first time, she wondered how many of her people's victories had been short-lived. "You did not break," she said finally. "You did not submit. You did not strike." "We listened," Cho said softly. Vera exhaled slowly. "This trial is not over," Mar nodded. "We didn't think it was." As the crowd slowly dispersed, one truth settled heavily in the room. Humans had not proven they were the strongest. They had proven something far more dangerous. They could face challenge without becoming its mirror. And Vera, warrior of the Cathari, was no longer certain that strength meant what she had always believed it did. The testing sector slowly emptied, but the tension did not leave with the crowd. It stayed in the air, quiet and heavy like pressure before a storm. Vera remained near the transparent wall long after most observers were gone, her reflection faintly visible against the stars. She stood still, arms at her sides, no longer in a warrior's pose. Her mind replayed the trial again and again, not the moments where she had moved fast or made strong choices, but the moments where she had hesitated, moments where humans had not. Behind her, the Cathari elders spoke in low voices. Their words were sharp, clipped, filled with disapproval. Vera did not need the interpreter to understand their tone. "This was not a victory," one elder said. "She allowed herself to be slowed," said another. "The humans twisted the trial in their favor." Vera finally turned. Her eyes were calm, but there was something firm in them now, something that had not been there before. "They did not twist anything," she said. "They showed what they value." One elder stepped forward, his posture stiff. "They avoided combat. They avoided pain." "That is not strength." Vera met his gaze. "They avoided waste." The elder made an irritated sound. "You sound impressed." "I am," Vera replied honestly. Silence followed. Among the Cathari, honesty was respected, even when it caused discomfort. Before the elders could respond, station security approached. The chief's voice was careful. "Vera of Clan Sorin, the council has requested your presence, and the humans as well." Vera nodded once. "I will come." The council chamber of Meridian Outpost was built to prevent intimidation. No single species, architecture dominated the space. The room was wide and round, with seating arranged so no one sat higher than another. Soft lighting adjusted automatically for different eyes and senses. When Vera entered, the humans were already there. Commander Mar stood near the center, speaking quietly with Dr. Cho. Lieutenant Qureshi sat slightly behind them, his tablet resting on his knee. All three looked tired but focused. Vera studied them again, this time not as opponents but as something unfamiliar. When Mar noticed her, he inclined his head slightly. Not a bow, not a challenge, just acknowledgement. She returned it. The council members arrived one by one. Representatives from trade species, scientific unions, neutral worlds, and even a few warrior cultures took their seats. The air filled with low sounds, translated murmurs, and shifting attention. The council chair, an elder being of long life and many eyes, signaled for quiet. "The trial conducted earlier today has raised questions," the chair said. "Not only about humans, but about how strength is defined within this region of space." Vera's jaw tightened. This was no longer just her challenge. The chair continued. Vera of the Cathari initiated a test of worth. Humans responded with an alternative trial. Both parties participated under station law. Now the council seeks clarity. The chair turned slightly toward Vera. "Do you consider the trial concluded?" Vera paused. Her people expected a clear answer. Victory or failure, honor gained or lost. "I consider it incomplete," she said carefully. A ripple of reaction passed through the chamber. The chair turned to Mar. "And you, Commander Mar?" Mar took a slow breath. "We believe understanding takes more than one meeting," he said. "If the goal was to judge humanity based on a single method, then no test would be fair." The chair's many eyes shifted between them. "Then let us speak plainly. Vera, why did you challenge the humans?" Vera straightened. "Because they rise too quickly," she said. "Because they survive where others fall, because my people believe unchecked growth leads to conflict." The chair turned to Mar. "And you? Why did you refuse combat?" Mar did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was steady. "Because we have learned where that path leads." Dr. Cho added quietly, "Humans have a long history of proving strength through force. It almost destroyed us." The chamber fell quiet. Vera looked at them sharply. "You speak of weakness." "No," Mar said. "We speak of memory." That word stayed with Vera longer than she expected. The council chair spoke again. "Vera, you have trained for combat since youth. Your culture values visible strength, but today you accepted a trial that challenged that belief." Why? Vera felt every eye on her. She could feel the elders behind her waiting for the expected answer. I accepted, she said slowly, because the humans did not act like prey. Some council members leaned forward. They did not beg, Vera continued. They did not boast. They did not threaten. They stood still and offered a different path. That confused me. One of the Cathari elders hissed softly. Vera ignored him. Confusion is dangerous, she said, but it is also how learning begins. The chair nodded slightly. And what did you learn? Vera hesitated again, then answered honestly. That strength can be quiet, that control can matter more than dominance, and that refusing to strike is not always fear. The room stayed silent. The words carried weight. One council member spoke, a being from a long, peaceful civilization. Commander Mar, do humans believe themselves stronger than others? Mar shook his head. No, we believe ourselves responsible. Responsible for what? Another asked. For what we bring with us, Mar replied. Our ideas, our tools, our mistakes. Vera turned her head slightly to look at him. This was not how conquerors spoke. The chair raised a hand. The council proposes an extension, it said. Not another trial, a demonstration. Vera frowned. Of what kind? A shared scenario, the chair said. One where both sides must act together. Mar glanced at Cho, then back to the chair. We're willing to participate. Vera surprised herself by saying, so am I. The demonstration took place in a simulation chamber designed for crisis response training. The scenario was simple but demanding, a multi-species colony station suffering cascading failures after a natural disaster. Systems failing, civilians trapped, limited time. Vera and the humans were placed together, given authority but incomplete data. The simulation began, alarms echoed, visuals flickered. Vera's instincts surged forward. She moved fast, issuing commands, prioritizing physical access routes. We secure the core first, she said. Stability comes from control. Mar listened, then nodded. Agreed, but we also need information flow. Qureshi began pulling data, mapping failures. Cho focused on civilian movement patterns. At first, Vera tried to direct everything herself. It was habit. It felt right. But the simulation punished that approach. Bottlenecks formed, resources were misused, time slipped away. Vera clenched her fists. We are losing time. Yes, Mar said calmly, so let's stop and reassess. Stopping felt wrong, but Vera forced herself to do it. They adjusted. Vera focused on what she did best, physical access, emergency routing. The humans coordinated information, prediction, and communication. Something shifted. The simulation stabilized. They didn't save everyone, but they saved most, more than any single approach could have. When the simulation ended, Vera felt something she rarely did after a challenge. Not pride, relief. The council chamber buzzed with discussion afterward. Conclusions were forming, quietly but clearly. Vera stood apart again, watching the humans speak with council members. She noticed how they listened more than they spoke, how they did not claim credit. One of the Cathari elders approached her, his voice low and tense. You are giving them too much ground. Vera did not turn. Or we are standing still while the ground changes, the elder scoffed. You sound like them now, she looked at him then, and you sound afraid, the elder stiffened. Afraid of what? Vera answered without hesitation. Of a galaxy where strength is not measured by who falls. The elder had no reply. Later, as the humans prepared to leave the chamber, Vera approached Mar directly. You planned for cooperation, she said, even when I did not. Mar nodded. We hoped you would adapt. Vera's lips pressed together. You assumed I could. Mar met her gaze. You proved it. That simple statement struck deeper than praise. Vera looked away briefly, then back. Among my people, warriors lead, she said, but leaders do not always fight. Mar waited. I will report this to my clan, Vera continued. Not as defeat, as warning. Warning? Cho asked gently. Yes, Vera said, that humans are not weak and not reckless, which makes them unpredictable. Mar allowed a small smile. We've been called worse. Vera studied him one last time. This is not the end, she said. No, Mar agreed. It's a beginning. As they parted ways, the station returned to its usual rhythm. Ships arrived, ships departed, trade resumed, but something had changed. Word of the trial spread beyond Meridian Outpost, not as a story of violence, but of restraint. Not as a tale of dominance, but of balance. And Vera of the Cathari, warrior by blood and training, found herself lying awake later that cycle, staring at the ceiling of her quarters, thinking not of how humans fought, but of how they chose not to. For the first time in her life, she wondered what kind of strength her people might discover if they did the same. Meridian Outpost returned to normal on the surface, but underneath the routine movement of ships and trade, something new had taken root. Conversations lingered longer. Glances toward humans carried more thought than dismissal, and among the Cathari delegation, tension moved like a quiet storm. Vera stood alone in the observation corridor, watching a human cargo ship prepare for departure. Its design was not elegant. It was practical, layered with backup systems and reinforced sections. A ship built not to dominate space, but to survive it. She understood that now. Behind her, soft footsteps approached. Vera did not turn. She already knew who it was. "You're leaving soon," she said. Commander Mar stopped beside her, resting his hands loosely at his sides. "Our window closes in a few hours." Vera nodded slowly. "The Council's decision will follow you." Mar looked at her, curious but calm. "And your people?" Vera exhaled. "They are divided." That was putting it lightly. Some Cathari elders believed the trial had weakened their image. Others feared what humans represented more than they feared them losing face. A species that chose restraint after mastering violence unsettled ancient traditions. "You changed the conversation," Vera continued. "That will have consequences." Mar gave a small, tired smile. "It always does." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the station filled the silence. Finally, Vera turned to face him fully. "Among my people, when a warrior faces something they cannot defeat, they either destroy it or learn from it." "And which will they choose?" Mar asked. Vera's eyes were steady. "That depends on what you do next." Mar considered that. "We'll keep doing what we came here to do," he said. "Trade, learn, build, make mistakes, try to fix them." Vera studied his face. There was no challenge in his voice, no warning, just certainty. "You are dangerous," she said quietly. Mar didn't deny it. "So are you." That earned a short, surprised laugh from her. "Fair." Later that cycle, the Council issued its statement. Humanity would be recognized as a developing power with full diplomatic standing. No restrictions, no forced oversight, but also no special protections. They would stand or fall by their choices. The decision rippled outward almost immediately. Some species welcomed it, others grew cautious. A few warrior cultures bristled, seeing the Council's words as an insult to traditional strength. The Cathari response was watched most closely. Vera returned to her people's ship carrying more than reports. She carried questions. The elders gathered in the strategy chamber, their faces hard, their postures rigid. When Vera finished her account, the silence that followed was sharp. "They refused combat," one elder said again, as if repetition might change reality. "They refused pointless combat," Vera corrected. Another elder leaned forward. "And yet they humiliated you in trials of their choosing." Vera's gaze snapped to him. "They did not humiliate me, they exposed a gap." "That gap weakens us," the elder replied. Vera shook her head. "It reveals where we can grow." The elders murmured among themselves, displeased. Finally, the eldest among them spoke, his voice slow and heavy. "You suggest change." "I suggest survival," Vera said. The word carried weight. "Our people have survived for centuries," the elder said. "Yes," Vera replied. "And how many enemies have we made along the way?" That question landed harder than any accusation. The elder studied her for a long moment. "You believe humans are the future." Vera paused. "I believe they are a mirror." The elders did not like that answer. Days passed. The human ship departed Meridian Outpost without ceremony. No cheering crowds, no final speeches, just quiet movement into the dark between stars. But the story traveled faster than any vessel. In trade stations and diplomatic hubs, the tale spread. Not as rumor, but as observation. Humans had been challenged by a warrior culture. Humans had refused to fight. Humans had not been broken. Some laughed it off. Others dismissed it as clever talk. A few paid attention. On a distant station, a mercenary captain chose not to provoke a human convoy. On another world, a trade guild opened talks instead of issuing threats. Small choices, barely noticed, but cumulative. Humanity's reputation shifted, not to feared conquerors, but to something harder to define. Back aboard the Cathari ship, Vera stood in the training hall alone. She faced a practice target, blade in hand, but she did not strike. Instead, she replayed the human trial in her mind. The pauses, the listening, the willingness to step back. Slowly, she lowered the blade. Weeks later, a Cathari scouting vessel encountered a damaged transport near a volatile star. The crew argued. Assisting would cost time and resources. The transport belonged to a species they had clashed with before. Vera was not present. The decision fell to a younger officer who had watched the trial recordings. He remembered how humans had acted. The Cathari ship assisted. The transport survived. That story spread too. Not loudly, but steadily. On Earth, far from Meridian Outpost, the trial became a case study in diplomatic academies, not because humans had won, but because they had chosen a different metric. Commander Mar addressed a group of new officers weeks later. "We didn't prove we were stronger," he said. "We proved we could stop ourselves." A hand rose. "What if that fails?" Mar nodded. "Sometimes it will," Dr. Cho added, "but every time we choose restraint, we reduce how often force is needed." Human expansion continued, slow and uneven. Mistakes were made. Conflicts happened. Humans were not perfect, but something fundamental had shifted. They no longer felt the need to shout their strength. Back on Meridian Outpost, Vera returned months later, this time not as a challenger, but as a representative. She walked the same docking bay where she had once issued her challenge. The etched circle remained. She stepped into it and stood there quietly. No crowd gathered this time, no tension, just memory. A young station official approached hesitantly. "Are you going to declare something?" Vera smiled faintly. "No," she stepped out of the circle. Later, in a private chamber, Vera met with representatives from several species, including a human envoy sent in Mars' place. They spoke of trade routes, shared research, joint crisis response. At one point, someone asked her directly, "Do the Cathari still value combat?" Vera answered honestly, "Yes, and strength, yes." "Then what has changed?" Vera considered her words. "We now ask what strength is for." That answer was recorded and shared widely. Years later, long after the specific details of the trial faded, historians would point to Meridian Outpost as a turning point. Not because a war was fought there, but because one was. They would say the galaxy learned something important that day. That strength without control destroys itself. That restraint can be a form of courage. That humans were dangerous not because they fought well, but because they knew when not to fight. And they would speak of Vera of the Cathari, warrior who challenged humanity expecting blood, and instead found a lesson that reshaped her people's future. As for Vera herself, she would one day stand before young Cathari warriors and tell them a simple truth. "There are enemies you defeat by striking," she would say, "and there are enemies you defeat by becoming something they cannot predict." She would pause, then add, "Humans taught us the difference." And far across the stars, humanity would continue onward, still fragile, still imperfect, but carrying with them a reputation more powerful than fear. They were the species that could stand in the face of insult, lower their weapons, and still leave the galaxy speechless.